Griff, one place sparked, I suppose. Last result and the weekend to mull over. How disappointing was that game, and how hard has it been to get the boys back up after that?
It was devastating. There's no two ways about it. I mean, we shared our thoughts as coaches over the weekend, went through a couple of things, and we opened up with the players yesterday. And I think they're similar. I think they've been driven to succeed in an Osprey shirt. And the reality is, we didn't achieve last weekend, and it's certainly hit us hard. And it's hit home really today that you're training for something that in essence doesn't mean much in terms of the league itself, although we've still got to be as professional as we can be. But no, it is a massive jolt.
A lot of home truths spoke?
We've put a few things out there. I mean, lots of the endeavour, excuse me, and the intent of what we're trying to do is always there. There's perhaps aspects of the urgency defensively and our reaction to a couple of things last weekend which wasn't good enough, but we've tried to look at it not just in one game in isolation, but where as a new group of professionals, I know we've got experience in the group, but you're talking a travelling group every time now where there's 7 and 8 new pros coming out into the Osprey fold, where we can uplift these now over the next year or so. You've got to learn about these sort of travels, but also what takes you there. We've got a theme about preparing to win, and the honest question to each and every individual is, are they doing over and above as we should be doing as management? So that's been put out there to all departments and players. And then obviously we're in the midst of breaking down the rugby itself, in terms of where we are competitive, but we're also facing reality that there's gaps, and even though we're pushing ourselves onwards, and but we're not happy in essence. And I think even though there's reality that perhaps statistically we're no more than the ordinary side, and that's probably been there for a while really, and knowing that our win-loss record is as it is, we still feel that we can take this group somewhere where we can still succeed in tournaments, and that ambition shouldn't die with all the other restrictions in the game.
Touching on what you just said there, then taking responsibility. Have you asked the senior players, as you're saying, to put their hands up and say they let you down?
No, not at all. I mean, there's good leaders in the group, and tactically and from a rugby point of view, we've got a group which wins 60 to 70% of our league games, gets the odd flash result as well. But I think it's reality as an organisation that we've got to do over and above, and that's not just the oldest, more experienced player. Albeit we've lost a fair number of them over the last couple of years, so that does hit home, but also how we take this young group through over the next 18 to 2 years, the learning that goes with it, and knowing that we don't want to be in those situations again, but reality is it's can be a dogfight at times, and we've got to be more desperate than we were last week, and do that on a weekly basis in terms of the season itself.
And sometimes you can learn from those experiences. Do you look back, you obviously analyse the game? You were in a position just to see it out. Last 15, 18, 20 minutes to go, you were in a position to hold out, but you didn't quite do that. Is that what you're instilling in the players, that okay, go on, move on, and you've got to learn from this now?
There's certain parts of the tactical framework where we were pleased with large parts of the second half. We controlled field position, we opened them up for countless line breaks, and our numbers there through the course of the year, and the amount of times we get to opposition 22 is remarkably high compared to perhaps previous campaigns. But there's learning over what we're not doing in those areas and how we put sides away. Okay, and then obviously you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, even though we felt bold enough to go for an extra try. Reality is, and again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, that perhaps just a 4-pointer would certainly keep you in the race, but I think it was in our minds that we were controlling that game, and that we felt that we could do a job to whatever else they did the following day to stay in the hunt with a 5-pointer.
And then reality today, nothing to play for. That's very unusual for a side who has high aspirations like yourselves. Yeah,
it's a horrible, empty feeling, and we've got to hope for some form of reaction on the weekend, being a positive one, and it is remarkably difficult. We're trying to be as professional as we can be, and sort of bring in areas of the rugby itself which is going to make a difference against Connacht, and where the opportunities are, and also defensively where we've got to be better against the sides that's similar, was throwing the ball about and has got some threats on the field. So if we're as naive as last weekend and perhaps lack desperation, okay, we'll get burnt again.
And is that what you want, a big reaction? Because you certainly don't want to lose, do you?
No, yeah, as always, we speak about being in the liberty and having some pride in our performance, and we've got to front up. There's a physical aspect to playing Connacht, so we've got to match them there. But you do want to go out on a bang. As I said, we've played some decent try scoring exploits, especially at the Liberty this season, and we want to keep that endeavour, because we think as a side there are areas that captivate and excite us, and we want to keep the public backing us and hopefully renew season tickets, because I think that there's a good brand developing. But as I said, it's also reality that we're in the middle of something that's tough at times, and there may be more tough occasions last weekend. That's perhaps the reality of the group at times. But long term, can we uplift and learn from where we are?
The fans don't want to hear that reality, though, is it? That there's more pain on the way, no Welsh side in the playoffs. How disappointed is that we are in this position for the four regions?
Yeah, I think you don't look for excuses. We certainly never would, because as I said, we've got to admit and put our hand up to our own failings first and foremost. But I think it's probably remarkable. It's the first time, and it's perhaps it shows where Welsh rugby's at in terms of the moment, the sort of desperation of parts of the season, trying to pull things together from a rugby point of view, with the bleak sort of backdrop that's there, and the financial climate. And as I said, that's trying not to be an excuse. We try and rise above it, and we're excited by young players who are coming through, new signings we've got. I think so. There's lots to be excited about, but as I said, you can't. The statistics don't lie in terms of where the Welsh sides are, and where we continue to have an uphill battle.
No nice send-off for Ryan Jones. Unfortunately, he's gone to Bristol. Just tell us the workings of that contract and why he won't be available to you. Yeah,
it was something agreed from the outset when Bristol were looking at him. Obviously, we wanted to keep going to the last, and we felt we would keep Ryan until semi-final, finals, and then it's perhaps academic what was in that clause. But I think it's obviously suits Bristol in terms of getting such a experienced, proven world-class player into the midst for that high-pressure cooker games for them. And obviously, I think contractually, it's obviously suited both parties at the time.
Their kickoffs early, you might be able to speed back and give him a send-off at the end there, maybe?
Yeah, it's a bit of a damp squib for Ryan, but he's had many highs and a few lows in the game with injuries and so forth, so he knows the curve that tends to go with pro sport. He leaves in high regard from all of us as players and staff for what he's achieved, and as a man himself, I've got so much regard for the way he conducts himself, and post rugby, whatever he does, he's going to be a success.
And a return maybe coaching for the Ospreys, you could see that happening?
He is, and he's an Osprey through and through. I know how passionate he is. Speaking to him in the club dinner last week, that the place means everything to him, and the way he's evolved, grown up, and been part of something special. And he knows that there's things going on that could be exciting in the future. And I don't know where his future lie, on field or off field, but I'm sure he'd like to be back in the Ospreys at some point. 3
Ospreys in the dream team of the season. Is that a fair indication of how your team has played this year?
I guess so, yeah. There's a couple of key players there who we have missed in terms of games we've lost when they haven't been on the park. Talk about our leader, and we spoke before about the international windows. We've lost a fair chunk of games, which you add them up. They're another reason why, forget last Thursday, another reason why we're not in that top 4. But also Jeff is one it is really pleasing for me. He's come over, someone we've looked at in last autumn, playing up in Colwyn Bay for Canada, the 7th circuit we monitored. Met the guy and got a good feel for him. Really raw, but we had a confidence in what we could perhaps nurture him to be, and he's still in the middle of that sort of moulding and where we want him to be positionally and understanding the game in full. But I am delighted to see someone who's come in year 1, been part, as I said, of some improvement around the amount of line breaks and the way we challenge defenders now more in those channels. And he's been a high calibre recruit for us, and it is some reward for his work.
And because there's not very much, if anything, to play for now, does the summer rebuilding structure for next season start against Connacht?
No, for us it's about picking a side that will win a game. We're not going to tag this as a development opportunity game. We put players on the field who deserve the shirt first and foremost to get a win for us. So the leaders of the side will continue to lead because we want to go out in the right way, but also it does then trigger hopefully something for the summer in terms of the rugby product itself, and where we continue to want to evolve but be more ruthless, because clearly we haven't turned the good in our game to the great, and I think that's key really.
Best of luck on the weekend.
Thanks, Jim.
Griff, presumably you want the Ospreys to be about much more than 60% wins in the league and the odd flash result, as you said.
Without question, as I said, I mean, that's reality where we are. I think we've always, I think since we started, myself, Steve as head coach, I've been pretty proud in terms of the way we've had decent percentages around the Rabo. Been thereabout despite losing players. Again, last summer you lose a world-class 9 and you bring a couple of new recruits in, and a couple of them have worked wonderfully. But as I said, we can't just be satisfied with where we are. We've had a long period now of introspection over the weekend, and we've asked questions of the group and ourselves, because even though the numbers don't lie in terms of the games we've lost, there's so many what ifs, and you've got to try and eradicate that in your preparation, and strive for excellence regardless of the hand you're dealt. We're going to try and push the Nicky Smith, the Ottens, the Baker, the Sam Lewises, and the average age of the backline being as young as it is. We're going to try and push them to be bigger and better over the next couple of years.
How do you sort of assess the season? Progress, consolidation, regression?
Statistically, 5th place as you were, I guess, and in a period where we continue to lose players and are brittle on one hand. I'm relatively comfortable the way we've tried to develop our attacking game. You look at us as a side, there's more line breaks and opportunities in opposition 22 than nigh on any side in the league. So there's aspects which we certainly weren't doing 12 months ago. Having said that, we had to go back a step around some of our set piece game, with Chris coming in, and again it's having a new young group around that who understand not just the set piece itself but the set piece attack. So that's work in progress, and I think is also a reality that even though we're young, energetic and dynamic, there's probably periods of the year where obviously international calls affect us, but how we can be tactically better than physically stronger in certain areas.
I guess you're looking for new leaders to step forward, I guess.
Yeah, we've got to. We're trying to develop our leadership group off the field, because we are in danger of Alan Wynne being the monumental leader he is. But he's out on his own, and that's not fair to him as in terms of what he does for his game week out. But it can't be all about Al, and we've got to try to sort of take the load off him as management. But we need probably 4 or 5 players to step into breaches, which people like Ryan have held in the past. But as I said, it's something we're preparing for. It's stuff we try and do behind the scenes to upskill in that sort of way. But it's how those players react to pressure points and learn from them in terms of closing a game out or putting a 4th try on the board.
Who would you see as the potential sort of leaders stepping forward?
Within the back line, you're seeing someone like Ashley Beck is making considerable strides off the field as someone who contributes more, really game smart, but it's just pulling the knowledge he's got in front of the group now and being confident, leading a group within a classroom, but also then transferring that to the field of play. Jonathan Spratt has given us real clarity when he's had opportunities this year, and even people like Sam Davis, he's got a smart rugby brain, so he's had a bedding in period as a professional player. He now has got to be someone who imparts more around the team. And then within the forward pack, someone like Justin Tipperick is a world-class player again, but we want him to bring more of himself to others. Can he transfer his influence the way someone like Marty Holler and Steve Tanney did for him, and how he can do that to others around him? And then you've got players we spoke about before like Duncan Jones, Joe Beerman. They've had to do that naturally around the young group. We've just got to make it smart towards the rugby we want to do.
There's other players leaving, Evans, obviously which got injured, but what sort of occasion will that be from Saturday, and how much you're going to miss certainly that front 5 that they've given you over the last 5-6 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from a pure power-based side as an Osprey group and won a lot of games on the back of that, in terms of the way we could dominate sides, with the manpower you talked about. That's changing slightly, without diminishing the fact we still want to try and develop some physical aspects of the players we've got in those areas, and possibly look around recruitment there. But we will miss them, and I hope this weekend we can give them a good send-off in the Liberty, because again, they've been good servants to the Ospreys. Obviously Hibbs isn't involved, but they're some people we value, and as I said, we respect exactly what they've achieved, whilst also acknowledging in our mind that we are moving on as well, and I hope that the fans can appreciate and support that we're moving on as a group and we want people behind us.
Will this be Alan Jones' last game, do you think?
I'm not sure is the straight answer. As I said, there's so much gone back and forth in that. I just think it's still in a state of limbo around bigger discussions.
Griff, what do you say to Jonathan Davis, his contention that the Scarlets are ready to sort of overtake the Ospreys as the Premier Region in Welsh Rugby?
I don't know. I mean, we talk about statistical wins and so forth. I mean, we're pretty proud of the fact we haven't lost the Welsh Regions as a group of coaches, on the one hand, but on the other, and we'll say this to the group, it isn't just about winning the Welsh games. We want to be, challenging Ulster, Glasgow, Munster, and we haven't done that this year as a side, and that's been the stark reality of the squad. So I'm not going to get bogged down in those discussions. I just want to make the Ospreys better to be a playoff side and just try and go from there.
Yeah, are you sort of seeing this as the start of a new chapter for the Ospreys, given all these guys who are leaving and your youngsters coming through?
Yeah, in essence, I think it's been rebuilding over the best part of the last 2 years or so, given the players we've left. But probably last summer we added some backline artillery. I'm sort of seeing this year as a sort of more of a forward pack, which is coming into the new mould, and where we want to take some of Chris Gibbs' work and the way Steve Tandy wants to drive the sort of the forward pack to be reminiscent of previous Osprey sides, but perhaps having a little bit more firepower behind. So yeah, we are trying to develop a different sort of strategy around what we've got, but also being as robust and ruthless as we have in the past in winning titles.
One of the fitness, just a couple of individuals, with like Justin Tipper, Ashley Beck, these squads out there training at the moment, just in terms of going forward, what are they looking for Wales tours? Are they looking for the season next year? Those sort of three.
Next year, in essence, for all three. I mean, Tips and Beck need operations, so we're still looking at dates for that haven't been confirmed. Rees is obviously coming straight line running, but I think that's with a view to him, starting pre-season fresh, and I think everyone recognises he needs a good, strong pre-season, and then he could continue to push to be Wales' number one from that position.
Do you think those guys are not being contention to that because purely for pre-season for the Ospreys next year?
In terms of Rees, I think that would be the sensible approach, and Ashley and Justin we're waiting for operation dates.
Is it going to be difficult to motivate the boys for this weekend?
Yes is the honest answer. They're in a hole, as we all are, but as I said, as a coach you've just got to try and snap yourself out of it, and we've presented to the players today on aspects and opportunities that give them a chance to play a certain type of game that will win against Connacht and will enable us to perform effectively. Emotionally now we've got to try and tap into certain aspects of our pride, and our preparation to win each and every game is a focus for the future. But for us, it starts this weekend in a real tough, difficult spot. Can this side prepare to win and then do something on the Saturday?
I guess the last question from me really, I guess you always support this one. Yeah,
I mean, it was ugly last Thursday, and that's our lowest point. We're not going to get away from that, but hopefully it's the bottom of the curve. As I said, I can't guarantee there won't be further moments like that because of the vulnerability of the group, but we try our damnedest week in, week out to put special people in the shirt and people who are proud to do what they do, as we are as coaches. And I think it's something that hopefully we can give them something on the weekend, and we will put things in place for the summer that can again put us back into a good place next year.
Last question, is that your lowest point as an Ospreys coach last Thursday?
Yes.